It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you. And I feel that all the things I wanted to say have been said already. So I have a speech, and I even cut it in half because I thought there wasn't enough time for everybody to speak for very long. So I've now closed my phone and said, actually, I don't think I'm going to need to say anything that isn't my phone. So I'm just going to kind of share a few thoughts with you. I had a conversation with Timothy before we came in, and I think you were going to speak?
Yes.
Good. So I'm not going to say anything about what you're doing, except that it is, I think, where the action is, with young people, and with young people who are being drawn into violence, and who are not heard and not listened to. And unless we start really taking our children seriously and giving them the tools to learn how to make good decisions for their life, to learn how to deal with conflict, to learn how to have respect for difference and diversity, the world will become a very, very dark place. And I'm very pleased to say that Margaret, and particularly Margaret and Robin, have a lot of programs for young people to kind of go out into the world and to try themselves, to make decisions, to make a difference, and to help others in the process. And last time I came, there was a young man who was part of a youth project, and it's changed his life, a UPF youth project. And I remember going with you to the Dominican Republic, where we went right into the countryside, and there were young people building a school with their teachers because there was no money. They had computers that were hand-cranked. And we got the Indian Institute for Technology to deliver a kind of camp-based bottling plant so that they could process their fruit and vegetables. And the Ministry of Agriculture was helping them to grow organic food, which they could then bottle and take to the market. Because before, the traders would come and take their produce away for £1, or, the equivalent thereof, a big sack of mangoes or something. And this was completely unjust and unsustainable. So that's the sort of practical things the young people have got involved in. But when we ask ourselves, what are these values that these young people are actually inspired by? It is exactly what you've been talking about, Lady Niven. It's about respect. It's about self-respect. It's about honesty. It's about the willingness to challenge. It's about the willingness to stand up for what you believe in, which I started when I was a little child because I didn't know better. I didn't know you weren't supposed to speak out. I just sort of say, this is wrong. And this is what you should do. And I was 6 years old, and somebody listened and did it. And I thought, my God, And so that sort of set me on the path of saying, well, I can make a difference, even though I'm a little person. And I think, that's what wants to be instilled in children. And that was actually what the culture of peace was about originally, was to make sure that young people really understood about the key values that drive human society. And Margaret set up a program which I think is key to this, which is to work for the equality of women. And you have your group every month of women who learn how to speak out for themselves and become entrepreneurs. And I remember visiting young women entrepreneurs in Africa and in New York on fantastic projects, because they are often also then the mothers of the children, and they have the duty to make sure that their boys learn that actually their sisters have equal right and value. And if that's not changed, if there is no kind of change in the family about what it means to be a man and a woman in today's world, and if the patterns of patriarchy are rolled out persistently, we will not actually get to a place where children learn how to be responsible for themselves and to go into the world and think about what are we doing to our environment. We heard a lot about the Sustainable Development Goals and the need to have a completely different approach to how we use things, how we reuse things, how we don't destroy the world in our very noble attempt to satisfy the Sustainable Development Goals and have everybody have something to eat on the table. But if we don't produce this in a sustainable way, we will basically exceed the footprint of our globe in no time at all. But if we learn how to actually do what people used to do in times of scarcity and need, which is to be much more modest in what we take from the world and much more generous in what we give back to the world, we won't have a future. And I think we need to get away from adversarial arguments, pitting people against each other, the climate activists against, the entrepreneurs, because we're actually all in this together. And we need to stop othering each other and saying, you're wrong, you're right. We all have something to contribute. And that came out very clearly in the previous talks. And I don't need to repeat it. So each one of you has an opportunity in your walk of life. And I'm sure you're all here precisely because you use this opportunity to make a difference. And many of you will have Ambassador of Peace Awards precisely because you've taken the responsibility you've been given, if you believe in God, by God, to make a difference in this world, a positive difference, very seriously, and you do things, and you help other people make good decisions. And I thank you for that. For me, that's peace building. And that's what